Welcome to our living room edition. Let me catch you up. This is what our home looked like when we first moved in a year ago. And right behind me is a solarium, which was not heated or cooled and had leaking problems. So, as much as it was beautiful, we took that down and had planned to replace it with a living room addition. And this video is going to show you the complete process from all of the excavation and the framing and the foundation, as you can see here, through where we are today. Now, as you can see, we'd already taken down the solarium, excavated the area, and these are the forms to pour the foundation walls. We are doing an 8-foot basement that connects through to the walkout basement that we already had. And in that space, it's just going to be unfinished for now, basically one big room. And it will have things like ping pong table and storage, just something that the kids can go down and blow off some steam in the wintertime. And it was not that much more expensive to do a full 8-foot ceiling basement rather than a crawl space. So we decided to take advantage of that square footage while we could. And I'm really, really grateful that we did. Now, even though I've been renovating homes for basically 18 years, this was the first new build process that I've walked through as far as doing an actual addition, having to do all the footings and the foundation and the site build and the architect and all of the things that go into a brand new build. So this was a new experience for me and I learned a lot. It was very interesting and I really enjoyed the construction side of it. For the basement, we did one egress window, making sure to have some safety in there for the kiddos. And it will be such a great space. Even though it's just going to be completely unfinished for quite some time, if not forever, it will be wonderful down the road to have that square footage. Now, once the foundation was poured and waterproofed, we had the dirt backfilled and it was time to start framing. This was an unbelievably fast process. Once they got going on the framing, all the floor joists were in, we have flooring, and this was a really exciting step to be able to see the footprint come together. And while that was happening, we also started to have the siding done. Since we're doing an addition and the siding was very old and needed to be redone anyways, we're doing the entire house so that it all matches and will look cohesive with the new addition. As the walls started to go up, it was really fun just to see my vision coming to life. That area is a very large 16-foot sliding door, which will walk out onto a deck to overlook that back property. And then on the opposite side, we have another very large picture window to look out the front. Once all the walls were up, you can really see the room start to take shape. On the inside, the blue tarp is covering the hole that goes into our existing house, and it was like that for quite a long time. Thankfully, we did this in the summertime, so we didn't have to deal with heating, cooling issues, being freezing cold like we were last winter when we were remodeling. And then on the inside here, we have beautiful windows that are going to frame a fireplace on that back wall, followed by a lot of beautiful windows and sliders. And then this opening will lead into the rest of the house once we get to that point. We love that this is the overlooking area for our living room, being able to look out and see all this beautiful land and just be surrounded by trees. These windows will show the sunset in the evening, and it's going to be such a great cozy space once it's all put together. I really wanted to bring height into this room because the rest of our house has standard 8-foot ceilings. And so we did 9-foot walls in the living room with an 11-foot peak. Now, this is the interior of our existing home, and we widened that opening so that we could see more of the living room space from inside. This is going to create a great focal point to look in and see the fireplace. And so I'm really happy that we were able to extend that opening more than what we originally thought. And these are the windows and doors being put in. As you can see, that opening is going to look into what will be our dining room, and it will look into our kitchen. The electrical was all done in basically a day, and the fireplace got framed. And again, just jumping to the exterior of the home because everything was happening simultaneously. They drilled the holes for our new deck, and the back of the house was completed in siding and the decking began. Now, if you watched my video this past spring, you know that I landscaped that hillside once we moved in this just a couple of months ago, knowing that this deck was going to extend out from the addition and become part of the landscaping. And so I'm really happy with how that was shaping up, incorporating those flagstone steps that were already existing. And the deck, while dirty and needing to be cleaned up, is absolutely beautiful. We went with TimberTech, and I love the color and how it turned out and how it contrasts with the white house and the black doors, and you will see black railing on this deck as well. Now back on the inside, we had insulation and then drywall and then mudding, and now we are at the point where it's actually starting to look like a room, and I'm going to show you around and talk about the plans that I have for this space long term and what we're going to do to finish it out. Now, the funny thing is that this is a 16 by 24 room, but it looks massive with just one person standing in it. So once we get furniture in here, it's really going to cozy up the space. We have only primed to this point, so everything is very white and very sterile. And I am actually going to keep the room white, but we're going to warm it up with the same white that I have in the rest of the house until my brain can stop and have a little bit of processing time from all of the decisions that I've had to make for our year-long remodel process. I definitely have hit decision fatigue. And if you've ever done a remodel that's extensive, you know exactly what that means. You have to make so many minute choices that by this phase of our remodel, the paint on the walls was the one thing that I was like, no. We're not going to try and decide what color I want this room to forevermore be. We're just going to paint it white. It's going to be the same color as the rest of the main level, and I'm going to call it good for now. And then maybe in the future we can repaint. So let me give you a little tour. Obviously, we have a fireplace. This is a gas fireplace. We'll be removing the cardboard once everything is in the finished stages, just protecting the glass for now. We're going to do a very simple layout in here with a chair and ottoman here. We're going to do a matching chair and ottoman here. And then in the center, we'll have a sofa along this wall and a sofa right here with a console table on the back of it. Big area rug. And now I have flipped the camera 180 and I've put you over where the fireplace is in the room, and you're looking the opposite direction. This is basically the only wall that we'll have in here for furniture because everything else is either windows or doors, and it is also right next to the opening to the rest of the house. So I'll probably do my black cabinet here that I had in my last living room. Something like that is really great just for storage, for displaying knickknacks, for, you know, making things pretty and homey. And then on either side of the sofa that will go here, we'll have some kind of end tables. Now this opening will be cased. It will go into the rest of the house. It looks right into what will be the dining room and into the kitchen. So our whole house now is going to flow from kitchen, dining, right into living space, and then out these doors we will have our deck. I'm so excited. Now the doors behind me are 16 feet in width and the center 8 feet open like so to bring in more of that indoor-outdoor living space feel right onto our deck, which wraps around to our kitchen slider as well. It's a really big, beautiful deck, and once we get it cleaned up, I cannot wait to be able to put furniture on it and style it, but that will probably come next spring because we're just not at the point where we want to invest in furniture for outdoors right before winter time. But for now, let's go take a quick look at it. Now we still have a ton of landscaping that we need to do. We don't even have top dirt put around the addition yet because we were waiting for all the building process to be done. So there's still a lot to come as far as landscaping goes. We just placed loungers out here just to enjoy the deck while we're waiting for the rest of the house to be finished. And so none of the space is complete, but it has come a long way. We're still trying to grow grass in the back, but the raised beds did wonderfully this year. And the hillside that I planted in the spring is growing in so beautifully. I can't even believe that it's only been 1 year of growth. Now, if you were here in the spring, then you remember that this hillside was completely weed covered, overgrown. There was not one established plant that was actually thriving or doing anything besides producing more weeds. And I replanted this entire hill with perennials, and I cannot believe how much it's grown in. This was a really banner year for landscaping across the Midwest, at least. I don't know if it extended further than that, but in our area, we saw the most beautiful flowers and growth and plants just doing supremely well this gardening season. And this really shows in this space. These are all brand new, only planted 2 months ago plants, and it looks like it's been here for years. To the point where things that I thought would take quite a long time to get established are already overgrowing their space, and I'm gonna have to do some major dividing in the spring. Now, if you remember also, we planted all these raised beds, built everything this spring, did the walkway, did all this entire area, and I wanted it to be kind of like my herb garden, plant a few vegetables if I want, but a lot of also perennials and annuals. So my cosmos did great this year. My zinnias did okay. The ones that came up did great, but there's a lot that didn't come up for some reason. And then I planted green beans. Those are doing great. They're over climbing the bed. This was supposed to be pumpkins, and that was a complete failure. It should have been beautiful and luscious with the fruit hanging down, and it did nothing. All my fruit just kept getting eaten by bugs and by deer. So next year, maybe we're gonna plant some clematis in there instead. The yard will be a major focus next year. We did a lot this year, a lot. We shouldn't have done as much as we did because we were so heavy into the addition as well. But outside, I really want to just create a space that I actually enjoyed being in, because the inside of the house was being torn up all the time. And we did so much with the raised beds, with the hillside, but we have all of this entire yard that's just overgrown, a complete mess, and has a ton of potential. So next summer, I will be doing a lot of landscaping. I know that this space isn't styled. There's no furniture on here that's permanent by any means, but this has been like our little oasis for the last 3 weeks of being able to only have 2 lounge chairs, but that's all we need. Sit out here and actually enjoy the space that has taken so much time and effort and money to create. And I can't wait. Next summer, we'll have really comfortable seating, maybe like an L shape, a little fire pit. We'll have outdoor dining table on the other side, and it's gonna be such a great little place to host, place to enjoy each evening in the summer and in the fall, and I can't wait for that to come next year. Now, one thing that I did in this space is I did have them add electrical behind where we'll have artwork for now. We're gonna have a mantle. I'm gonna put artwork, but there's always the possibility that in the future we'll want a TV, or for resale value, if we ever move 50 down the road, then somebody might want to put a TV above the mantle. And so just trying in this part of the build to think ahead a little bit to make sure that we're not missing out on an opportunity, and any artwork that I have can easily cover that outlet. We had it recessed back so that it won't be obtrusive and cause problems for the stage that we're in right now. And then long term, the fireplace, we would love to have either stone or brick instead of just drywall. So for the phase that we're in right now, we just finished it as drywall. Our builder is going to build us a mantle, and this will be the finished look until we recoup some funds and are ready for the stone or the brick in the future. Maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years down the road. But if I come back on next year and say that I'm doing the stone, just don't be surprised. So I know that so many of you followed along on our year-long renovation process. We're at the tail end. I would love to know which part has been your favorite. Did you like seeing the remodel portion where we were gutting what existed and redoing it? Or did you like seeing more of like the build process of a brand new addition? Drop it in the comments. Quick look at the ceiling. These black speakers will have white caps. We're not leaving them black. And the chandelier, I wanted something that was modern, but a little bit more cozy and less formal. And so I brought in some wood tones there, and I love the way that it looks. I can't wait to put the rest of the furnishings in the room. Now, obviously we're still in the construction phase, so we still have to do all the painting, all of the trim work, all the floor, the mantle needs to be built. There's still some exterior things that we need to have buttoned up, and there still needs to be a little bit of HVAC done. So we're at the home stretch, and I cannot wait to be able to style this space and move in and live in a 100% completed home, except for the staircases. Those are coming in the future. I'm not sure we'll ever actually be done. But I am very hopeful that my next living room addition update video is going to be a decorating video, a moving in video, styling, how we're going to actually use this space in its completed phase, and I cannot wait to share that with you. Stay tuned, and I will see you next time.